You're sitting in a room full of people, but you're not really there. You're somewhere else entirely, a moment from years ago. It feels more vivid than the conversation happening right in front of you. Why does a memory sometimes feel more real than right now? It happens without warning. A smell, a song, a certain quality of light, and suddenly you're pulled back, not just remembering, reliving. The strange part? That memory might be from 5 years ago, but it has more texture, more color, more weight than this present moment. The now feels flat, like you're watching your own life through frosted glass. Meanwhile, the past is sharp, crystalline. You can feel the temperature of that day, hear the exact inflection in someone's voice, see the way the light hit the wall, the fabric of someone's shirt, the smell of rain on concrete. This isn't nostalgia. It's not longing for something lost. It's something deeper, stranger. The past doesn't feel like memory. It feels like the only thing that was ever truly real. And if you experience this often, you've probably wondered if something is wrong with you. Why can't you just be here? Why does your mind keep dragging you backward into moments you can't change, can't touch, can't return to? You've tried to stay present. You've tried mindfulness apps and breathing exercises, but the pull remains. And sometimes it feels like you're living in two places at once, except only one of them feels solid, and it's not the one where your body actually is. Here's what you need to understand first. You're not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, but it's responding to something specific, a signal you might not even be aware of. The vividness of a memory isn't about the past. It's about what that memory represents now, what it's trying to tell you about your present. Your brain doesn't make mistakes when it comes to emotional priority. If a memory feels more real than your current life, it's because, on some level, that memory is meeting a need your present isn't. This isn't a flaw, it's feedback. Let me explain how this works. Your brain doesn't store memories like a video file. It doesn't archive them in perfect fidelity, waiting to be replayed. Instead, it reconstructs them. Every single time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments, sensory details, emotions, context, associations. It pulls pieces from different neural networks and assembles them into something that feels coherent. But here's the key. The brain prioritizes memories that are emotionally significant. This is called emotional encoding. When something matters, when it carries emotional weight, your amygdala, the brain's emotional center, tags it. It says, "This is important. Store this vividly." So memories from moments of intense emotion, joy, fear, love, connection, loss, awe, get encoded with more detail, more sensory richness, more neurological bandwidth. They become what psychologists call flashbulb memories. Not because they're more accurate, in fact, research shows they're often distorted, but because they feel more real. The brain allocates more resources to storing them and later to reconstructing them. Now here's where it gets interesting. When your present feels emotionally muted, when you're going through the motions, disconnected, numb, or simply understimulated, your brain has less to work with. The emotional signal is weak, so the encoding is weak. Think of it like photography. A memory from an emotionally intense moment is shot in high resolution, rich color, sharp focus. A memory from an emotionally flat moment is low resolution, grayscale, slightly out of focus. When you compare the two, a richly encoded memory versus a low signal present, the past wins. It feels more real because neurologically it was processed as more significant. But there's a second layer to this. This phenomenon is amplified in people with certain psychological traits. High trait absorption, the tendency to become deeply immersed in internal experiences, narratives, or sensory details. High openness to experience, a personality dimension associated with imagination, curiosity, and sensitivity to emotions. Or a personal history that set your emotional baseline unusually high. If you grew up in an environment where emotions ran high, whether through chaos, intensity, passion, or unpredictability, your nervous system learned to recognize that level as normal, as real life. So when your adult life is calmer, more stable, more routine, even if it's objectively healthier, it can feel less real because it doesn't meet the threshold your brain learned to recognize as aliveness. The past, where that intensity existed, becomes the gold standard, and the present, by comparison, feels like you're living life on mute. There's also the role of meaning. Memories don't just carry sensory detail, they carry narrative significance. They're tied to identity, to who you were, to a version of yourself that might feel more coherent, more authentic, more whole than the version navigating today. When you feel lost in the present, the past becomes an anchor, a place where you knew who you were. Even if that person was suffering, even if that time was hard, at least it was definite. So what do you do with this? Not to escape the past, not to suppress it or shame yourself for being drawn to it, but to bring the present back into focus, to make now feel as real as then. Number 1, recognize the signal beneath the memory. When a memory pulls you in, pause. Don't judge it. Don't try to push it away. Instead, ask yourself, what is this memory giving me that my present isn't? Maybe it's a sense of aliveness, of being seen, of mattering, of intensity, purpose, or connection. Your brain isn't just replaying the past for no reason. It's showing you what you're missing now. This is information, a clue. It's your unconscious mind trying to communicate a need. Write it down if you can. Name it. Because once you know what the memory represents, you can start asking, how do I create that feeling here in my actual life? Number 2, increase sensory presence. Your brain encodes the present the same way it encodes memories, through the senses. If you're not sensing your life, it won't feel real. If you're moving through your day on autopilot, barely noticing what you see, hear, touch, taste, or smell, your hippocampus, the memory-forming structure in your brain, has nothing to work with. So practice small, deliberate acts of sensory attention, not as a chore, as an experiment. Feel the texture of the surface you're touching right now, the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice the ambient sound in the room, the hum of electronics, distant traffic, the rhythm of your own breath. Look closely at something. Really look. The grain of wood, the way light moves across a wall, the details of a face. This isn't mindfulness cliché. It's literally giving your brain more material to encode. You're turning up the sensory resolution of your present. You're making now more vivid.
And when you do this regularly, the present starts to compete with the past. Number 3, create new emotional peaks. If your present is emotionally flat, your brain will keep returning to the past, not because the past was objectively better, but because it was emotionally stronger. Your nervous system craves signal. It craves intensity. You don't need drama. You don't need chaos, but you do need moments that matter. Conversations that feel real and unscripted. Risks that make your heart beat a little bit faster. Experiences that break the routine and create a sense of novelty. Do something that scares you slightly. Have a conversation you've been avoiding. Go somewhere unfamiliar. Create something. Say something true. Your brain doesn't distinguish between good and bad intensity when it comes to encoding. It just wants signal. So give it something worth remembering, not for Instagram, for your own neurology, for the part of you that's starving for evidence that you're still alive. Number 4, ritualize transitions. One reason the present feels blurry is because we move through it too fast. No pauses between moments, no conscious transitions. We finish one task and immediately start another. We wake up, check our phones, and the day is already happening to us. The brain has no time to mark the significance of anything. So, create micro-rituals, small, intentional acts that signal to your brain, this moment matters. Pay attention. A deep breath before you start something new. A moment of stillness before you leave the house. Lighting a candle when you sit down to work. Closing your eyes for 5 seconds before a difficult conversation. These aren't productivity hacks. They're psychological bookends. They help your brain segment time, and segmented time is more memorable, more real. Number 5, rewrite the narrative. Sometimes a memory feels more real because you've assigned a meaning your present doesn't have. That was when I was truly myself. That was the last time I felt happy. That was before everything fell apart. These narratives are seductive. They give shape to your pain, but they're not fixed. You can ask, what if that version of me still exists? What if I'm allowed to feel that way again, here, now? What if the past doesn't own my aliveness? The memory might be vivid, but the meaning you've given it is a choice, a story you've told yourself so many times it feels like truth. You can tell a different story, not by denying the past, but by refusing to let it be the only place you were ever real. Here's the model to hold. Your brain is not a historian, it's a meaning maker. It doesn't record objective truth, it records emotional significance. Memories feel real when they carry emotional resonance. The present feels real when you're emotionally present. If the past outweighs the now, it's not because the past is stronger. It's because the present isn't being encoded with enough signal, not enough sensation, not enough emotion, not enough meaning. Your job isn't to let go of the memory. It's to turn up the volume on what's happening right now, to give your brain something worth encoding, to live with enough intensity, enough presence, enough sensation, enough emotional honesty that this moment can hold its own weight. The past will always have its texture, its richness, but the present can too, if you let it. If you choose to be here fully, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's ordinary, even when it doesn't feel like enough. You are allowed to be here, fully. Not in some perfect, healed, enlightened way, but in the messy, sensory, uncertain, alive way. The past will always have its pull. That's fine. Let it visit. Let it teach you what you need. But don't let it convince you that there was the only place you were real. You were real then. You are real now. The difference is just focus, and focus is a choice you make with each breath, each moment of attention, each small act of presence. The world is happening right now, and you're in it. That's enough.